We got to remind the people of something.
Yes, we do.
The Lee Summit Town Hall podcast, as always, is brought to you by the good folks at Budget Blinds of Lee Summit.
Budget Blinds. It's an incredible place to work. It's a family company. And also, I heard they're hiring right now.
If you're looking for a job, they got the place for you. They're looking for an installer.
They are looking for an installer, and you can actually find information on their Budget Blinds of Lee Summit and Cass County website to get more information on that.
That's right. We will do there. And look, you want to work for our friends? They're awesome. Go see them. And they are the home for Signature Series shades. So
They
when you're
are.
ready to make your home awesome, when you're ready to redecorate this spring and summer, go out there, get your stuff that you need. You know what else you can do when you go in there?
What's that?
Tell them Lisa will next thing.
Oh, wait, one last thing. If you want to work there, they have a dog, and the dog is basically the chief happiness officer, is what I've decided. So, I mean, that's an extra bonus of working for Budget Blinds.
Bert is the official mascot of
the
Downtown Lee
mascot.
Summit.
Yes, he is.
He is the most awesome of all dogs. And I'm not necessarily a dog guy.
Yeah, no, you're not.
I love Bert.
Yeah, he is such a good dog.
Like almost perfection.
Yes, definitely.
Just a good dog. Good dog. Hello and welcome back to the Lee Summit Town Hall podcast. I'm your host, Nick Parker. Liesl Hayes is out this week. Hey, we finished one festival and now it's ready to we got to get going for another one. Lee Summit Jazz Fest. The inaugural Lee Summit Jazz Fest is coming up June 22nd. I have the founders of said festival with me today in the vault, Ben Rayo, Shawn, Harrel. Welcome back to the show, guys.
Greetings.
Thanks.
Good to be here.
Yeah.
The one thing I don't like about this, though, is it means I have to have Ben in extra time. Usually he's here just for Chili Fest, but now he's got to come back and talk about another. Are you Mr. Festival now?
It's becoming that way, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about a fried chicken festival sometime in the spring.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little rough on the parking lot, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to you have to just cover it in between or pay for a lot of cleaning. Jazz festival though, so Kansas City has had a jazz festival for a long time. People know about that one, but Lee Summit. Why Lee Summit? Why are we doing one here? Where'd this come from?
I think it's kind of a meeting of the mind. So Shawn and I met, I don't know, 6 years ago or something, doing some internship with some of the students and some AV stuff, and he had the band that was getting together informally, and they were doing things. I'm like, well, let's formalize this thing up. I love jazz. This is great. Why not, right? And we did that. And they'd always had a dream. I think when you talk about the Margaritaville experience, and I've always been really fond of the New Orleans Jazz Festival. It's just like, oh my gosh, what an event! Just the formality and the length and the amount of acts and just the food, and it's like, we got to do this here. Like anything else, what are we gonna do? Hey, Shawn, you want to do a jazz festival? It's like, yeah, sure. Okay, let's do it then.
And we should note Shawn Harrel, the digital media teacher for the Lee Summit School District over at Summit Tech, one of the founders of the Lee Summit Jazz Orchestra, a board member for Lee Summit Creates. I see you wearing that shirt, by the way.
Yeah, representing.
So we know your love of jazz.
Yes. Yeah, and Ben, obviously an idea guy, big
He has a few.
ideas.
Every once in a while he gets an idea.
For sure. So, I mean, we talk about the first time we met. I mean, looking at Bridge Space here, seeing this as a venue and pitching the idea like, hey, maybe we should do something here. And Ben immediately was on board with that. And that's been kind of the way it's gone the whole time is big ideas. What's next? What's a gap that doesn't exist? And for the jazz orchestra, for our side of things, I mean, we're really loving playing at the 1909 Club on the fourth Tuesday of the month. And so this is like another kind of extended version of that. Hey, let's welcome these people to our house and we'll play our set, but we also want some great artists to join us as well. So just a big idea and coming together. Really.
Yeah, we're not going to bring together one or two bands. Let's just go ahead and go full throttle on the first one, and it's let's do 10 hours of music.
Yeah, we got 10 hours, but 9 acts. Is that correct?
8 acts.
8 acts over 10 hours. It's behind Bridge Space,
rain or shine,
in downtown Lee Summit. Which, when you bought the old post office building, and let's just give out another reminder, folks. The post office in downtown is no longer a post office. But when you bought
7 years ago,
7 years ago. But when you bought it, you have talked from the beginning that you wanted that back dock to someday be a stage. That's been in your head forever.
It has, and it's been a mini stage for Chili Fest, but now it's gonna be really interesting taking those gates out, extending a little bit of a peninsula out into the pit out back where they back the trucks up, so a lead singer or vocalist or somebody can be out there to kind of get out with the crowd and be a little more seen. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Was Jazz Fest first thing on your mind when you thought about putting music and acts out there?
Oh, exactly. That's the whole reason that we did Bridge Space was just.
Well, no, but like when you first saw this, like you said, you've got lots of ideas. We know, those who know you know that, but I remember you talking about it from the beginning when you first got control of this building that you wanted music out there.
Yeah, it's always been about doing outdoor music, those kinds of things. But this is a little more of a. I think it's just like anything, an idea. Shawn and I have talked about different things, and he's taking care of the band, the music, all those things. I help on the promotion. How do we execute it? How do we pull it off? Jason and David have been amazing. Shout out to those guys. Amazing to help pull. We have a ridiculous lineup for the first year of a jazz festival.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about who you've got coming.
Can you cut this part out? I knew I should have queued up.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
While he's looking it up, you want to get it right.
I know them all, but I don't have the right order.
So if you're listening to this, I looked over to Shawn because, Shawn is out there mentoring and teaching students AV stuff, and so we're starting the act with the Lee Summit District Jazz Band for students. Then we're kind of stepping into the Kansas City Youth, which is a little more of a pull from all around the metro area, right? And then we start getting into the heavier hitters, the Sons of Brazil, the jazz orchestra is going to be playing. We've got Chris Burnett, sax player. He just dropped a new CD.
Ebony Fondren.
Yes, Ebony Fondren. Yes.
Amber Underwood. And the Back Alley Brass Band is going to close it out, and they are a big party band, and they play all around Kansas City.
Yeah, it's fun. That's kind of getting into that like New Orleans vibe. And if you're thinking Lee Summit Jazz Orchestra, that it's going to be, I don't want to say boring, but just kind of a slow, quiet, classic jazz. It's not. It's if you've ever seen what we do every Christmas, it is a 15, 16-piece band. If you go to the 1909 Club, you guys sound amazing up there, and you're all jammed into that stage, which is a little tight, but it's also really cool to see.
Intimate, yeah.
It's neat.
It's like real estate. You would describe that as intimate. It's like, we're shoulder to shoulder.
That's an intimate. This is an intimate.
Yeah. Classic jazz from the Lee Summit Jazz Orchestra, kind of wailing lead trumpets on some bassy charts and other swinging charts and some Latin charts and that kind of thing. And then, closing it out with that set from the Back Alley Brass Band.
You've mentioned 1909 Club a couple times. That is the jazz club above Libations in downtown Lee Summit. It's turned into this great live music joint, which I know is what the owner Seth wanted. It's really turned in. Are you guys? I mean, this is a cool way to take advantage of that and what Lee Summit is kind of building into as a hub for jazz.
More than I think you know. One is it's great exposure for the musicians, which are amazing and get to play every month. But the other thing that's nice is it's not an event that, we're run by a small group of volunteers. It's myself, Colin runs Bridge Space, Pam Stepp, 3 or 4 of the artists and that's really our board. So we're looking for a few more people to be on the board. If you love jazz or you like organizing, or you're like a process person, we need a few more people because it's becoming a job. We don't have an executive director. Everything's volunteer. We do a lot of the heavy lifting through just relationships, social media, and other things. This is going to be great. We've already sold 400 tickets.
That's awesome.
And so we're still, we're less, if it remind me, 18 days away. But we know there's a big push. There's more than 3,000 people that are liking the event or interested in the event on Facebook, a couple hundred that said they're going. We know people buy tickets at the last minute for these things. We got a dozen art vendors. We got 2 food trucks. We've got a handful of vendors that are, sponsors or have been helped to put this together. We've spared no expense as far as hiring out 2 technicians or engineers to be able to run the stage, the sound, have a great PA system. The neighbors behind Bridge Space are going to love it. It's going to rattle the glass right out of their windows.
Are you a little surprised at the response so far? I mean, you said you've sold over 400 so far. Nowadays people don't buy tickets early. I mean, that's just not a thing as much. So you've already sold 400. Did you expect that response?
I did.
Is it just because you're the eternal optimist?
Optimist, and this event doesn't exist, and we have a lot of people that are interested. Even the Kansas City Jazz Orchestra, they've been supportive of what we're doing. So, they're down in Kansas City, but they did a small sponsorship. They're going to have a booth here, Jam Magazine. I got to give a shout out to Myers Music. They stepped up. Hey, first year you're doing this, we don't know what to expect, but we'll do a nice sponsorship for the presenting sponsorship for the stage. It's taken a lot of people.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And Meyer's always been a big supporter of the arts and education, and then to have them jump on board with this is really awesome. So shout out to Tom Meyer. Just because, I mean, we can't do it without the sponsors, and Ben knows all about that. But in terms of the response, what I noticed as I scrolled through my Facebook is just the wide variety of people that are clicking interested, that are sharing it, that are liking it, that are reposting it or commenting on it. It's people in my educational world, it's people in the music world, it's people that I've worked with, in community events and that kind of thing. So just a wide range of people that are interested in this, because I think it does hit on a lot of people's interests, like looking for something to do. Downtown Lee Summit's always hopping. There's always things to do, but hey, let me see some live music over here at Bridge Space, and then I'm going to go grab lunch across the street, and then we'll go back and catch that next act, or we'll eat from the food trucks here and that kind of thing. So that's been what I noticed, is just a wide range of people that are into it.
That's really cool to see. And you've also got, you mentioned Jam Magazine. You've been in Jam Magazine. Joe Domino, who has a great radio show and podcast in the jazz world here locally, has had you on his show. You've recorded with him here.
And Shawn has too.
Mm-hmm. Shawn. So that's pretty cool. Your first time out, you're getting this kind of attention and feedback.
A lot of promotion. It's a lot of heavy lifting. It's a lot of distraction, from day-to-day job. But it's something that's good, and we hope that we're building the foundation for something that we can do each year. And, if this thing gets big enough and it outgrows Bridge Space, cool. But it makes it really easy to be able to do an event here, because we don't have to close the streets. We don't have to get permission. We don't have to do a lot of things. Certainly having the police officers that we have to rent and have them here all day, that's kind of our only connection into the city, just to have somebody here. Talk about the event. You can come anytime that you want between noon and 9:30.
All day wristbands for your tickets.
All day wristbands. And so that's a little unique. So people can buy a wristband. They can go in and out. That we're going to be putting them on people super tight. There's not going to be any games of slipping out of wristbands. And if you have to slip out of a wristband for $15, that's being split up between 3 charities, the Lee Summit Jazz Orchestra, our wonderful downtown Main Street Lee Summit, and the Alzheimer's Association are splitting those up. So have at it if you need to slip through. We'll have the security, and we'll be watching you, and you don't even know it. There's cameras everywhere.
I don't know why he's eyeballing me.
All right, he's looking
at me. It's kind of weird. It's a little creepy, but I'll be there.
You are going to be there, and we appreciate it. This doesn't work without volunteers, and so if you go to the bridgespace.us/jazz, or you go to the lsjazzfest.com, lsjazzfest.com, there's a place there where you can buy tickets, you can buy T-shirts, but equally important, if you scroll down, there's a section for volunteers, and we still need another dozen volunteers or so, and those are 2-hour shifts, and any volunteer that volunteers gets a wristband for the event for all day. And these are simple jobs. This is working the front desk, people coming in. It's working selling water. It's helping police for trash in the parking lot, and just being there to help put an event on. This is a long event. Chili Fest, 2 or 3 hours. We do it with five or six people. 9 or 10 hours, and we got to be there 2 hours ahead of time and probably an hour after. That's a long 13, 14-hour day for a lot of people. And I want to give a shout-out to Colin from Bridge Space, because he's stepped into a lot of roles that he maybe didn't have the experience, but he's learning, and he's out there, and he's coordinating. He just picked up 250 beautiful purple shirts that we'll be selling at the event, and we're certain to sell out because they are great-looking shirts. And come out. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And look, if you volunteer, here's the thing too. Sometimes you volunteer for a Ben event and he just gives you a microphone and lets you talk on the stage. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's how we started. And it was a thank you to you, Nick, because you pulled together a group of a handful of volunteers to help run 10 hours of rhetoric and introductions and interviews. And, we spent extra money just for you, Nick.
Yeah.
We upgraded the sound system to give you microphones that are wireless, so then you could walk around and you're not tethered to the stage. So then you can walk around and talk to a couple of the people, like KCWE Channel 9 did a nice sponsorship for us. Some maybe go over and see the food truck. Some of the art vendors. Certainly, we want to interview everybody from the bands and just everybody's. This is a community event.
No, and this is the fun stuff too. When you get to do a community event, you get to talk to a lot of people, help put on, put some good music on the stage, and then raise money, which is what I think is really awesome about the stuff that you're doing, Ben. Whether it's Jazz Fest, Chili Fest, at the end of the day too, you're giving checks to some groups that can use it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think this, because we have had a great interest both in sponsorship. Now I will tell you, I am a little surprised about the number of people that came out for sponsorships in the first year, because people are like, I don't know if I'm going to put money.
It's always a little hard
behind a first year event, but it's actually really stepped up. Rob Ellerman team, thank you for that. They did the wristband sponsorship. So it's taken a tribe. And like you are in any event, we just need to get noon on the 22nd started to get the train out of the station.
Once we're rolling downhill, it's going.
If you love physical labor or you're looking for an excuse to skip the gym, we have some volunteer slots on Wednesday and Thursday, and you get to use this amazing tool that bangs metal spikes into the ground, and that's what we attach that fence to around the perimeter of the building. So please get out, volunteer, buy your tickets ahead of time.
He doesn't know it yet, but you're going to get my teenage son, as a volunteer, because he needs to learn about pain, Ben. So put him to work. Put him to work.
I think the notion of volunteering too is really essential to the group. Speaking of the jazz orchestra, nobody's getting paid to play at the 1909 Club, and a little bit of money in the pocket for, obviously all the artists are being hired, but same with the jazz orchestra, a little bit of money in the pocket for this event. But there's so much giving back from the musicians and contributing to bigger events, and like we've played the combo a number of times and have been out and about in communities and stuff like that. And so we love the support that we're seeing from all of the business partners and the industry partners, but also the individuals like yourself and others that are supporting it too is really awesome.
Well, that's kind of the purpose and the crux of this entire podcast that we've been doing since 2016 is how easy it is to get involved. You can do stuff in the community. It's really easy. You just find, you can find a passion, you can find a thing, and even if it's just getting a little knowledge, a little time, you can be involved. You can make things happen here.
And if you can't come to the event, go ahead and go out and just buy a ticket ahead of time and just have that be a $15 donation. If you can't come, it still helps.
And and if you can't make it, pass it on to a neighbor, friend at church, friend at work, something like that. Bring it on out. Now, Shawn, this is not your first time for the jazz orchestra to be on the backlot stage at Bridge Space. You have played before. I believe you headlined Chili Fest a few years ago.
Yeah, we had a combo back then.
Can I say headline Chili Fest?
Yeah, because they were the only band.
Yeah, they were.
They came and played a 45-minute set.
I had to iron my own T-shirt. I had to buy some iron-ons and make my own T-shirt for that event.
I think we unplugged my microphone to plug in your system.
Probably. But no, we've done that before. And I mean, speaking of getting to that, just getting the train out of the station and getting it started, everybody that's performing here has done these types of events before, and that's what's going to make it. If we can get to that point and we can get the perimeter set up and we can get all of the sort of working pieces in place, all these musicians are just going to hit that stage because they've done it so many times. And that's what's going to be so much fun about it, is seeing what it's like to do that here in Lee Summit with a whole different crowd of people that's never had that happen here in downtown.
I want to say, Ben, and I want to ask how hard this was. It's kind of an extension of you're surprised at how much sponsor support has come in. Because one of the things I think is really cool that Shawn just said was the artists are getting paid. And one of the things we've talked about a lot on the Lee Summit Creates group is that artists should get paid. Doing it for exposure, doing it for good is nice, but
At some point that has to stop.
At some point
right?
that has to stop.
Yeah.
And we, I think as a culture, have to realize too that artists should get paid for their work. It is work. It's beautiful, but it's work.
Yeah, I don't think there was ever a question in our mind that we were going to do this thing and that everybody that was performing, with the exception of maybe the Lee Summit School District kids, which I think we're doing a donation on their behalf to something, but everybody was going to get paid. And it's not a lot. And I think one of the challenges with the Lee Summit Orchestra is just the pure size. And when you divide up that number, you got 16 men and women that are each getting a $40 check, right?
They're teachers. They're rich. They're fine.
Yeah. That's right. You're right. I did overlook that. But these people, this was a big commitment, and I don't think we could have done it without a couple of other art type grants too. The Lee Summit Arts Council grant that we got was a huge help for this. The John Bedoin Family Foundation, another big chunk. And so I don't think people realize the amount of both time, effort, and work to put an event on, but also just the pure cost. I mean, we have $20,000+ wrapped up to do this half-day event for the first time ever. And to do that doesn't happen without some grants, some sponsors. And have we covered the whole cost yet? No, but we're getting close, which is what our goal was, is let's make sure we get out of this thing, pay everybody, and make a little bit of money to do some donations to some different nonprofits. But then now we have a basis to say next year it's this.
We can kick it up a notch.
We can. And it's somebody like a Myers Music. One of their big things was, hey, we'll take this chance, but if we take this chance, we want first right of refusal in future events. And we're like, of course.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's been a lot of different types some of it's in kind. So Owens Lumber, they've donated space for us to do signage for downtown days, but they've also donated $500-600 worth of lumber that's needed to extend the stage. And then we've got Joe Olson's company that's coming in to provide labor to build that out. So it's not always getting a checkbook out, but sometimes that's volunteer work. It's physical labor. Central States Distribution is printing signs for us as part of that. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it saves us $500 or $600 that would have been cash. So all those things all add up to a lot.
Time and talent are often as important as treasure when it comes to these things.
I don't know what you just said, but it sounded cool.
I try to sound cool for you, Ben. This is a ton of work. Is it hard to lose sight of sometime too? Like, you're also fans. You love the music and you love the things that we're putting on display. Do you lose that?
Well, that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah. Some of them I'll be seeing for the first time. Yeah.
And are you going to hang out all day?
Yeah, I'll be there. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be a long day, but it's also, I'm excited to just, now that the train is out of the station, and thanks to your wife Stephanie, who's stepped in and she's going to help kind of manage the stage and keep everybody on time. And you're doing the MC work, and we've got volunteers to help with that and the other things. It's kind of an opportunity. This is our chance for Shawn and I and the rest of the volunteers on the board to relax and see our baby be born.
Mm-hmm.
Sit in the chair and watch a little bit.
Yeah.
Who are you excited to see that you haven't seen?
I've worked with Chris Burnett a lot, and he's done a lot of educational things, so I'm looking forward to seeing his combo.
Yeah, Chris and Sons of Brazil are really great, and that sounds that sound is just particularly interesting to me, and they sound really hot. Of course, all of them have their different thing. Get the flute nastiness going, and just all of those things. But it's I think that's it for me.
Have you not heard Chris Burnett before?
I've
heard,
heard
or watched him play, I guess.
I've watched him play, but not live.
Okay.
And Sons of Brazil I've seen, but not live. But so it's all going to be great live.
I feel like we just saw Back Alley at Downtown Days in the last few years, or maybe right before pandemic. Maybe.
Yeah.
I get them all confused.
Pandemic. That would have been that was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, you just threw me for a loop there. Yeah. But I feel like we've recently seen them play down here before.
Yeah.
They were a blast.
And we had a lot of people that was also surprised about it, thinking ahead, thinking of the future. We had so many people that were like, "Hey, I'd love to join the, like, can I get a set on the festival?" It's like, well, we we're already booked, but we had a lot of people reaching out, and that's also kind of exciting when you think about the future, that we've got a lot of people kind of waiting in the wings that would love to jump up on the stage and play as well.
How does that work? Do you make it bigger? Do you do tryouts? Do you do application? Like, how do you?
So I think it's a little bit of both. We have to see how this goes from just managing it for the first time and logistics. I agree, Shawn. I think it's been really encouraging with the number of people that reach out to us, whether it's a private message through Facebook or they track down an email. And it's like, hey, you got any more slots I want to play? And here's a link to my stuff. And it just tells you that there's a need. People want it. We're like, hey, this year we'll put you on the list. And so once we get this one out, then we start working towards next year's.
How cool is that, Shawn? I guess too, from a broad perspective, just to see that interest grow here, and that we can do more. We've had a symphony for a while now.
Yeah.
We're at 20 years, right? The Summit Theater Group's been around 10 plus now. Summit Art has been doing fine art for a long time now. Like, to see all that interest grow and that we can do more and more. We're going to have an outdoor performance space downtown in the next year or so.
And that's why the jazz orchestra started. I mean, I played in the symphony a number of years as a horn player, and you look at Lee Summit and you see a puzzle piece that's missing in the jazz realm. And so it's this event, but it's also the orchestra themselves. And I don't know if I'm going to break this news, because I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm going to manifest
some breaking
it.
News.
I'm either going to manifest the news or I'm going to break the news.
You're having a baby.
Yes. No, the symphony and the jazz orchestra will collaborate together in the future on a joint performance, and
that's fantastic.
I've just kind of started some text messages back and forth a little bit, so obviously it's not a confirmed thing, but I mean, that's a natural fit for the big band to kind of be there, and those types of things happen, and those are the kind of things that, I mean, make Lee Summit unique and special, that we have these groups that are not subpar. You're going to hear the best quality stuff here at the 1909 Club with the Jazz Orchestra, the same as you would with the Kansas City Jazz Orchestra. We've got a few players that are in both groups as well, too, so that doesn't hurt. But, yeah, be on the lookout for that. Just things happening in the future. Lots of exciting stuff.
Yeah, and I think we've got a really good relationship with the Lee Summit Symphony. I mean, obviously, Shawn's played in it. We know a lot of the people that are in that and crossover, and, they're having their summer concert is the night of the Jazz Festival.
Right.
And we immediately, 6 months ago, reached out and said, hey, guys, we just want to let you know this is what we're doing. We're having it. And is there some crossover? Yes, but also no. And that's a different type of an event than this. And there'll be people that probably double dip. They do a jazz festival for part of the day, and then they go hit the symphony at night. I mean, that sounds like a big night for music in Lee Summit, less than 5 miles from each other.
That's actually a really
cool
thing. Just to all of that is happening right at the same time.
There's going to be music notes everywhere.
Yeah.
Shawn, tell us a little bit for people who don't know yet about the Lee Summit Jazz Orchestra. You've been around for a few years now, but you're still getting out there. We've seen you play at a few different places. Like you said, you're every month now at the 1909 Club. Just tell people what that is.
I would say the jazz orchestra very, very much in the style of your traditional jazz band. So there's plenty of jazz bands that push the envelope a little bit, and there's some of that too, I think, that we'll do from time to time. But music in the style of Count Basie. We're playing music by Sammy Nestico, one of the great big band arrangers, Bill Holman, and others, but just in the standard jazz style. Saxophone sections, Waylon, the trombones we have a copious amount of trombones whenever we try to put the band together. We always have extra people, which is really surprising. The trombones are usually harder to come by, but a wide range of people from around the area, mostly educators, and that was kind of what started us, is that we want to do the thing that we're passionate about, and we want to sort of wrap our creativity in and sort of come full circle with it, where we're teaching our jazz groups, we're directing groups, but we're also playing and performing. And most of us have been doing stuff like that for a while. But educators primarily, but a lot of people with a lot of experience and great players. Some of them teach lessons privately, some of them teach in the school district. And like I said, it's going to be a standard big band experience, which I love, and that's kind of my thing. I love new music too, and I love electronic music, and I love contemporary sounds and that sort of thing. But the classic big band sound is something I'm really fond of.
That's your place.
Yeah, Sammy Nestico kind of sums it up. If you don't know him, he arranged for Basie a lot, and he's my favorite jazz composer.
Describe his sound.
Light, humorous. I think he's got some sort of twists and turns. Like we played a tune, "Strike Up the Band," as an opener, and if you know that tune, it's an old Gershwin tune, and it can be, you think, oh well, I've heard that, but he's going to put a little twist on it that's going to make it interesting. He actually does a great arrangement of the Sesame Street theme as well, talking about things that are kind of humorous. I gotta dust that one off and put that in our library. I've got it over at the high school right now. But Waylon sax solos, lead trumpets, tight rhythm sections, swinging, walking bass lines, ride cymbals, plinky plink on the piano, that kind of thing.
And describing it from being out listening to it, it's both really gentle, but also really strong. Yeah. That's that's the wailing. It's like, okay, it's all of a sudden we're just traveling along in a really like medium, and then all of a sudden you have 10 brass all kick in at once, and
I feel like that's your personality.
Yeah,
brass?
It's a roller coaster.
Brass.
You're not a musician, but you said earlier that you like the New Orleans style. What do you remember? What kind of first got you into jazz music?
Both my parents were in jazz, and I was around jazz a lot growing up. Jazz, R&B, but just a lot. My stepfather had a Creole restaurant that they brought jazz into. I was always messing around in all of the vinyl and all the stuff that was available in the house, listening, experimenting, and then just became a huge fan. And then started to go out and go see a lot of these artists that travel, some of the bigger ones. There's nothing better than a nice tight quartet, and you're in a small club and you're having a cocktail and they're getting it done.
I think that atmosphere of a jazz club, the little band playing, it's just I almost a perfect night out.
Yeah.
Except for
June 22nd.
June 22nd. I was actually like waiting for you to jump in there. I thought I was setting you up, but I didn't do it quite right.
I didn't want to steal your thunder. I thought for sure this was all that.
Because that's not a lie. That's not a lie, what you just said there. So.
Well, one more time, Ben, tickets are on sale right now.
At lsjazzfest.com, lsjazzfest.com. Get your tickets. They're $15. They're all day. Get them this year. Come out and see this. I promise you they're going to be more next year, just based on all of the pre-ticket sales, the sponsorships, all the things there.
$15 for 10 hours of jazz.
We're going to have food trucks, Mexican. We're going to have barbecue. We've got art vendors that are there. One thing I will say is if you're coming, bring a chair.
Bring a chair.
This is a BYOC. Yeah. Bring your own chair.
Bring your own chair. The parking lot's big. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
June 22nd, noon to 9.
And see the jazz orchestra June 25th at the 1909 Club, too, because we're going to follow it up with a few performances back-to-back there.
Are we calling that an encore performance?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. No.
There we go. Shawn, Ben, thanks for coming on the show, and good luck on the 22nd. This is going to be awesome.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
That'll wrap us up for this week. We'll talk to everybody next time.